Let's talk about the latest news from the world of TikTok hype bands, specifically your favorite band, Sleep Token. And it's no secret that Sleep Token has sort of become the biggest cult band of the last year, right? And for anybody who doesn't know, if you're watching this, you're probably familiar, but if you're not, they dress up in these masks and there's all this lore about how, you know, the band is actually a cult that worships this goddess called Sleep, and the singer like speaks to her and all this kind of stuff, and they don't reveal their identities. And this is sort of like a big part of the appeal of the band, is that they're anonymous, except they're not really anonymous. I mean, you can just Google them and find out who what their names are and stuff. So they're not actually anonymous, but you know, publicly they don't disclose their identities or do any press or any of that kind of stuff. So fans will speculate about who they are and where they came from and what all the lore means, and oh, he has this new symbol, what does that mean? Blah, blah, blah. Mostly pretty much innocent stuff, maybe a little bit nerdy, kind of like Coheed and Cambria. You know, well, they'll get into the lore and what does this mean and what does that mean and all that kind of stuff. But up until now, pretty innocent stuff. However, something supposedly happened over the weekend that is, if it did indeed happen, very disturbing. So Sleep Token wipes Instagram after fans leak band members' birth certificates. So here's supposedly what happened. And also, I wanted to mention something new that I'm doing, which is a YouTube coaching program. If you're an individual creator or you're a company, really anybody that wants to grow on YouTube, this is for you. Basically, this is a way to download everything that I have learned about YouTube over the past 7 years from my brain into yours. There's a pretty common set of challenges that pretty much everybody runs into on YouTube. I've run into pretty much all of them. And with this coaching program, I can help you get past those a lot faster than I did figuring it out on my own. For example, in my opinion, the single most important thing for any channel is figuring out the right niche for your content. Like, what should you focus on and how do you talk about it? For example, for me on this channel, once I found that, I went from getting, you know, a couple hundred views a video to tens of thousands of views per video, literally almost overnight. You can see it right here. And also the right approach to things like titles and thumbnails and how to structure your videos to keep people's attention, all that stuff that took me years to figure out on my own through trial and error. I just want to help you speed run all of that. I am super excited about this, and I'm going to be putting a lot of time and energy into it over the course of the year. And if you want to find out more about it, you can just hit the link in the description of this video. So here's what happened is that everybody noticed today, this morning, or maybe it was yesterday, I don't remember, that Sleep Token's Instagram had been wiped. Now, this is pretty normal, right? Bands do this all the time. It's like a normal thing. We saw this like a couple weeks ago. Paramore did this. And every time this happens, everyone goes, you know, oh, is the band breaking up because they deleted all their posts? What happened? And that's never actually the case. What is always the case is they're just hyping up some new release, right? So that was my first thought. But then we found out that what actually happened is something potentially much more disturbing, which is that supposedly fans have suspected that the reason the band wiped their Instagram is because someone apparently found and shared the birth certificate of one of the members known as 3 online. Sort of like Slipknot, they all have names, like the singer is named Vessel and the others are like 1, 2, and 3. That member specifically deleted all their social media accounts, so that combined with the band's empty Instagram has led some to believe that they did it because their identity was leaked. Anonymity is part of Sleep Token's shtick, so that would have obviously put an end to it, which could also be the meaning of nothing lasts forever. The interesting thing is here, so Craig from Stray from the Path actually asked an interesting question, which is, I don't get the Sleep Token birth certificate thing. Did the birth certificate say Sleep Token member on it? If so, that's indicative of time travel and a much bigger news story. So there is sort of a question here. I'm going to get into Tank the Tech, your friend and mine, fantastic YouTuber. He asked a good question, which sort of is along the same lines of this, is like, did this really even happen? Because you would think that if it did happen, there would be at least one person who shared some sort of screenshot, and then every psycho on TikTok and Twitter and everywhere else would be sharing it, right? So it's possible that it didn't even happen, but whether it happened or not is actually secondary. Like, it doesn't even really matter, because the real story here is that it could have happened, right? So whether it did or didn't, the fact of the matter is that Sleep Token fans are so crazy that it's entirely plausible that this did happen. I don't know for sure if it did or not, but that's how nutty they are. So I'm going to leave the door open to maybe it didn't actually happen. Maybe it's just a crazy rumor, but let's just assume that it did happen for the sake of this argument, because I think that's really the interesting thing here is, like, even if this didn't happen, it's only a matter of time until something nutty like this does happen, because that's sort of where things are headed with Sleep Token and with Bad Omens, who I'll talk about in a minute too. And so the fans are reacting to this. The first person here who has deleted the tweet but said, Sleep Token deleting all their Instagram posts. I feel very unwell, gives me massive stomach pain. This is sort of indicative of the Sleep Token fandom right here. Like, if it gives you massive stomach pain that a band deleted all their Instagram posts, I mean this like in all seriousness, like you probably should seek help, right? Like, this is not normal to have like physical pain because a band deleted their Instagram posts is not normal. So then there's some other people kind of speculating. So basically Sleep Token deleted their Instagram posts and changed their bio to nothing lasts forever. And people are freaking out given the timing, but also speculate it's probably just new era stuff because they wouldn't do the new masks and then just bounce without no warning. So people are sort of debating what this all means. The good thing is that a lot of people seem to have the same reaction that any kind of normal person did, which is to be like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you psychos? The fact that someone went and found 3's birth certificate and posted it, forcing him to delete all social media, is absolutely disgusting. This person may have single-handedly ruined Sleep Token for everyone. This is an interesting dynamic. So this person said, the whole Sleep Token birth certificate thing is confusingly ironic. Everyone's so into the lore of their anonymity, yet they do that. So this is sort of the interesting thing about the Sleep Token anonymity dynamic, is that the fact that they want to be anonymous is exactly what makes people want to find out more about them, right? I don't know. Nobody's posting like Luke Holland from Falling in Reverse. Nobody's posting his birth certificate, right? Because everybody knows who he is. Like, well, it's Luke Holland. Why would I post his birth certificate? So it's kind of sick that as soon as someone says, I would like to be anonymous, then instantly we don't respect that and we want to reveal everything about their personal life, right? It's kind of sick. So Tank the Tech says, if it happened, it's horrible, but it's 2024 and there are literally receipts of everything, but this has all been word of mouth online about something that happened on a private group on Telegram. It doesn't make sense. So I was talking about this with Tank earlier and I said, this is Tank's Alex Jones moment. This is Tank's Sandy Hook moment. He's like, Token Gate is a hoax. It never happened, people. It's a false flag. It's a false flag. If it happened, I want to see the documents. It's a false flag, people. I'm going to sue you out of existence if it turns out this did actually happen. But again, whether it actually happened or not is sort of secondary, because it is entirely believable that it could happen. And that's really what I want to talk about here. I fucking hate Sleep Token's fan base. I just learned the birth certificate thing. What the fuck is wrong with them? I wholeheartedly sympathize with them if they wanted to pack it all in at this point, and what a blow it would be if they did. Congrats to everyone. And here's my question is, by leaking this guy's birth certificate, for what? Like, what's the point? What does that accomplish? It's like, here's his social security number. It accomplishes nothing to like reveal this guy's name and personal information, other than for these just weird Sleep Token stands to, you know, add one little piece of information to their dossier on who these people are. You know, it's the same kind of dynamic as like some weirdo collecting people's like samples of your hair and toenails and making a little figurine out of it. You know what I mean? It's this very weird stalker energy. And so that's the first thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is I don't recall this kind of stuff ever happening in the past, right? It's like, it feels like a new thing that this sort of weirdo stan energy has sort of started to come into the world of metal. For example, this is another one. So Noah Sebastian from Bad Omens, who obviously, you know, he's a very attractive young man, and all the young ladies on TikTok love him and stalk him and do all kinds of weird shit, to the point that he deleted all his social media recently. And he talked about it, and I completely agree with everything he said here. So they asked him why he deleted his social media, and said, I was trying to use my socials and I just had to constantly mute them. I got really tired of seeing my own face or seeing a stranger's opinion of me every day. I don't think it's healthy. I've seen these accounts that collect baby pictures of me that they find on a distant relative's Facebook and make an entire shrine out of them. It's very one-sided. If there was, and this is the part I really agree with, if there was a female artist that I admired and I had a collection of pictures of her as an underage child, people would probably fucking try to put me in jail. It'd be weird. It'd be extremely inappropriate. It's really funny how selective people are with their ethics. And I think that's totally true. I completely agree with him on that. And I don't remember any of this kind of stuff happening in the past, right? I mean, like if you go back to Slipknot in the beginning, like they kind of hid their identities. And so there were pages like this old ass GeoCities page, you know, where people would find images of them. And you can see here, like back then they would try to hide their faces. You can see here, anytime they would take a picture with a fan, they would like, you know, put a sticker or their hand up in front of it, but they weren't really trying to hide their identities. It wasn't that hard to find them. And it felt like it was just fun when people would like try to find pictures of Joey without his mask or whatever and speculate about who they are. It wasn't weird. You know, it was just kind of a fun thing, or that's how I looked at it. And then a couple years later in the emo era, things got a little bit more weird with all the fanfics. For example, there's this whole genre of fan fiction involving Frank and Gerard from My Chemical Romance called Ferrard. Lots of them ended up taking a sexy direction. So you can see here this one, purely innocent. Gerard Way has been sheltered his whole life, homeschooled and hardly went out. His only friend was his little brother, but Gerard's father has decided it's finally time for him to go out into the world. His innocence just waiting to be destroyed. So there's all these like weird examples of people, you know, these were like teenage girls writing this stuff, you know, back in the 2000s. And this was weird, but it's like, you know, it's like 7th grade girls writing stories about, you know, Frank and Gerard kissing. It's a little weird, but not really stalkerish behavior as far as I'm aware. The real weird one, this is a very notorious one. This is called the Milk Fic, which is about Panic at the Disco. And I'll just read you a little bit of it, and I think that you'll understand where this is headed. So this is about Ryan Ross and Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. Ryan was kneeling in the bathtub, a towel under his knees and another under his hands. His head turned as he craned his neck to watch Brendan working. The younger boy swirled the spoon around in an overlarge bowl before tapping it against the rim and laying it on the counter. You know it'll cool down a little once I get it in the bag. But is that good? Brendan bent over next to the tub so Ryan could slowly dip 2 fingers into the bowl, nodding once. I'm not going to read the rest of this, but I'm going to let you decide where this milk went. I'll let you decide what they did with this milk afterward. So that shit was pretty weird. And so I feel like that's the direction that we've taken, is that this like stand dynamic keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder. The milk fic was weird. But this is way weirder. The shit of like actually finding like childhood pictures of people. Very weird. And now you see this stuff in like K-pop, right? So this is the top 10 most terrifying stalking incidents in the K-pop industry. And this is just the top 10, right? And look, it's kidnapping and grabbing, poisoning, chasing, car accidents. Like this, it's people are fucking crazy now. People are fucking crazy. And so my question is like, is that what's happening to rock now? Is this sort of what the metal fandom has become now? They're all a bunch of like these weird, horny stalkers, you know? And I mean, I'm being serious here. The shit is weird as fuck. When I was in high school, I Googled Marilyn Manson's dick just to see. I mean, if I could Google Marilyn Manson's dick right now, I would do it all day long. So here's my question is like, is this where rock is going? Because it gets like increasingly nerdy and weird every year. It used to be that if you told your mom you listened to metal, or your aunt at Thanksgiving, she would be like, I'm worried that your son is a Satanist. He listens to heavy metal. Is he a Satanist? And now they're going to worry that you're like a weird stalker that's, you know, Googling pictures of these guys' dicks and showing up at their house, you know, asking if they're circumcised. You know, that's like the nature of the metal fandom now. It's like, it's fucking sad. It's sad and it's weird. And like in all seriousness, like it's only a matter of time until one of these weirdos does something like legitimately super unhinged to one of these guys. There is an actual psychological condition called cute aggression. I've never heard of that. And this could be part of it. Usually you see it when people see a cute puppy or something and want to bite it because it's too cute. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, maybe this is cute aggression. Maybe it is. Yeah, when you want to like squeeze the puppy because it's so cute. That's true. Kind of like the guy who shot John Lennon. That's right. Or Jodie Foster. The guy who shot Reagan did it to impress Jodie Foster, right? As I recall. So I just kind of wonder, is this where things are going now that like metal fans are all like crazy stalkers now? If this is what happens when you're a breakout band, you know, being that probably Bad Omens and Sleep Token are probably the two biggest breakout bands of the last few years, like, is that what happens now when you're in like a breakout band? Is that what happens? So who's going to want to do this if that means that people are going to stalk you and find creepy baby pictures of you and try to take pictures of your foreskin? Like, who the fuck is going to want to be in a band if that's what it means? Yeah, it's actually pretty scary considering bands advertise where they are on tour. That's true. That's true. That is very true. Yeah, I mean, that's basically my thoughts on this is like, first of all, I hope that it didn't actually happen for the sake of the guy from Sleep Token. I hope that it didn't happen because it is absolutely completely unacceptable to leak anybody's personal information like that. Like, you should be in jail if you did that. So I hope that it didn't actually happen for his sake. But if it did, I would say that this is like a new frontier of crazy stalker behavior in metal. I don't think I've ever seen anything this nutty before. I agree with this too. This is also a byproduct of the normalization of mental illness. Fluffing people's egos up for being crazy or unhinged is not a good thing. I actually agree with that too. I agree with that. We have absolutely normalized and maybe even encouraged mental illness a little bit, especially like, you know, in the rock scene, and that has consequences, and we may be looking at some of those consequences. So those are my thoughts on it. I hope that this is not a trend. We really gotta we can't let this stuff happen. This shit's weird as hell. It's crazy, and it's only a matter of time until somebody gets hurt. That's what I think. So yeah, not cool, and yeah, don't let Sleep Token fans be the new Swifties. Don't let them be the Swifties of metal. So if you're a Sleep Token fan, you don't want this to happen. That's what I think about it. I'm gonna let you decide where this milk went.